Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Welcome back to another episode of the Shrimp Tank. We come to you virtually from Seattle, where it's really, really cold today, and the entire Pacific Northwest. Listen, if you want to learn how to start, grow, or run a successful business, you, my friend, are in the right place. This is where we say street smarts and book smarts collide. Hello again, everyone. I'm Dan Weedin, and I'm joined by my co-host, who's just down the street. She's probably as cold as I am, Monica Blackwood. Welcome, Monica. We'll talk in just a second. We are happy to have as our guest today, Alex Devine. Alex Devine is a marketing and business consultant providing a unique bridge between old school business ideals and new generational perspectives. In her straightforward style, she motivates teams to act with empathy and understanding. As the president of VSG Marketing, Alex uses technology and data insights to help companies and individuals define their sales strategy and manage their digital presence. Alex leads the VSG marketing team and provides executive oversight to all service offerings, in addition to making sure clients remain on the cutting edge of their industries. Alex, welcome to the show. We will be right with you. Listen, everyone, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We are the #3 rated entrepreneur podcast on iHeartRadio. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. You might say we are ubiquitous. Now, before we bring on Alex, time to say hello to Monica for the first time in 2024. I'm just going to say it, Monica. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Dan. This is so exciting. 2024 is going to be a fantastic year. I just know it.
Well, so far it has been, other than it's cold. And I know I'm complaining a lot about that, but it is a little icy and cold out there.
It's not our typical Pacific Northwest.
No.
Sure.
You know who it's been a little bit of a tough start for the year for is our local football team, the Seattle Seahawks. Fired. I know it didn't come out. The words fired didn't come out, but they basically fired 14-year coach Pete Carroll. You're aware of that. I know you're a football fan. And one of the things that in the ensuing weeks that I heard a little bit about was that while Pete is a master communicator and someone who has a message and that's resounded with his teams, after a certain amount of time as a football coach, that voice might get a little bit old. And not that Pete was old, but that voice can get a little bit stale. And I was talking with a client today, Monica, and he's owned his business for 25 years since taking over for his dad, who had passed away unexpectedly. And he said, you know what, I think I may be having some of the same problems, and it was part of the culture and things like that. So he's taking some steps. We talked about some of the steps he's taking to alleviate that, to change not the message, but the voice. Any thoughts on that, just in your experience with the message and the voice coming from the boss?
Well, I think it's definitely a thing, you know. If you think about it, it can relate to so many things, work and home life. You think about how many times your kids tune you out, right? Or my husband, who is also a coach, often has to think about new ways that he's going to get a message across to his team because he's been coaching them for a while. In business, it's really the same thing, you know. As a CEO, it's like, how many times am I going to say a message the same way? And how often can I like change that up? Can I change it up in the methodology? Can I change it up with the words or the tone, with the way that it comes across? Like, instead of it being a lecture, can it be a celebration and try and celebrate something to change that? But, you know, talking about firing, it's hard to fire yourself as a CEO, especially when you're the business owner. But in a non-traditional way, I'm kind of for it. I mean, step back for a week. Let some of your other trusted colleagues take the realm and see how they might change things up. Lean in on them and get their expertise and their insight. And it's not just the ones that are close to you in your business, but you know, everybody in your business. maybe you have some trusted clients too that you could reach out to and say, hey, I've been saying this forever and ever, and now it doesn't sound like it's getting anywhere. So
Yeah.
what would you suggest, kind of thing? So yeah, it's kind of a firing in a non-traditional way, kind of thing. So
Monica, I love that. I'm glad I asked this. I had no idea what you're going to say, and that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Now, messaging, you just mentioned clients, messaging, and that message is important in marketing, and we have an expert today. Thank you very much, because you made the introduction of Alex to us. Alex, welcome to the show. First of all, welcome to the podcast. I would love your insights. Maybe I saw you nodding your head a little bit. Any insights on what we were just bantering about? And then tell everybody what it is that you do to help companies improve their messaging in their marketing.
Yeah, I love it. Hi, Dan. Hi, Monica. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited. I love the Shrimp Tank. Excited to be a guest today. My name is Alex Devine. I'm the president of VSG Marketing, which is a spindustry company. We'll get into all of that, I'm sure, a little bit later. Monica, I agree. It's when you work hard on your culture and you bring people in and you have transparency in how you're running the company, how things are going, and you make a habit out of involving your team in those decisions, it's much easier then to go to them for help. If your way isn't effective or your messaging isn't hitting home, you kind of have this bench of players who might say it a little bit differently than you. It's kind of that idea, as you mentioned, same message, different mouth. Amazing. That's what consultants are great to bring into your business. It works with your kids too. Sometimes when their friends say the same thing you've been telling them over and over again, it's gospel. So people dynamics too. You have to understand who your audience is and what they value and what they're looking for. And then really you have to put your ego aside and say, what is the way that we can get results? If I really only care about the result, it doesn't need to be me that's delivering the messaging. I can let other folks in their unique style do it. So that in a nutshell is a great marketing strategy, I would say. So we're an agency at Spindustry, which is the parent company, and VSG Marketing operates as a division of that company. And we specialize in WordPress development, traditional graphic design, branding, strategy, audits, all that fun stuff. And then we provide technology solutions as well, marketing automation. We work quite a bit in HubSpot, Constant Contact, all that fun stuff. But we really exist to empower the bottom line. That could be marketing and a sales initiative as well. And then SharePoint, our parent company, provides SharePoint services, training, and custom development, which is going gangbusters right now. Lots of folks have SharePoint and need help. And it's really nice to just have consultants to come in and do that for you. And then we also operate in a lot of custom dev environments. We do .NET, we work in e-commerce. So we do a lot of stuff, but really what we say is we provide solutions to complex business problems as strategic partners. Anything under the sun there?
okay, I have a quick question. SharePoint. I've got SharePoint.
Yeah.
My business, right? And we use it, just for kind of a docking tool, right?
Yeah.
What could we be using it for? I'm
Ooh.
intrigued.
Fabulous question. A lot. And I'm new to SharePoint. So we're a small 12-person agency for 21 years, our 21st year in business. I've been with the company 10. I was actually started as an intern. And so we were Google shop. Like everything was ad hoc. We weren't using our tools effectively. And then with the resources Spindustry brought, I'm new to SharePoint. I'm learning. I'm in Outlook for the first time for the last year or so. And me, much like our clients that we help, same exact issue. Like I have SharePoint. I don't know if I share a file in Teams, it goes on SharePoint, but I don't really know how they're related. How do I set up structures? So a popular service we have is governance, or like we'll just come in and evaluate your environment, and it can be years and years and years of mess that you've created, and then we provide, a secure and user-friendly road forward to really save that. So SharePoint is a really powerful tool. We're building a survey tool right now using forms. You can do user permissions and have secure libraries. You can share externally. So it is a server environment. It's a really powerful business tool. And you have chat and Teams, and so anything really that you need it to do. But it's complex, and those folks of us who are new to it or either have used it a certain way for years and years need a little help. And they got a whole crew at Spindustry that does that. It's been really cool to watch and learn from them.
So Alex, what I learned in our little pre-pod meeting was Doug Burton, who
Yeah.
preceded you as the president of VSG, was on our show. And I'm going to tell you, I know it was in studio. I remember, Doug, it's got to be like 2017, 2018, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, you said that you posted all of the you were the person, intern, maybe doing all of the grunt work, so to speak. Now you're the bigwig. What I want to know is, tell me about your personal journey. Where did you originally get interested in marketing, in social media, in websites that's brought you to this point?
Yeah, love that question. And just know that like I'm a freak, Dan. No one has this story. It's very strange to be an executive at 31, but I'll tell you exactly how that happened. I had small business parents, small business owner parents. And so my mom's a CPA. They had a tree service for quite a while. They were landlords. They had 150 rental properties they owned and managed. And then they bought FedEx routes in like 2016 and have built a transportation company. So lots of business all the time. I was entrenched in that environment. We talked about, employee challenges, employer challenges, payroll, marketing. We talked about that at the dinner table. It was just a part of my life growing up, which is an incredible privilege to me. And so being the eldest daughter, being responsible, being driven, I didn't know there was a different option, really. I didn't want to paint or make music, or I'm like, okay, if you want to live the life you want to live, you get into business. So I started looking around early. I think I did running start in high school. So I was going to college about half the time at 16 and working at a coffee shop, and was just focused on that. And I did a job shadow at one of the only little marketing agencies in Yakima, Washington, where I am from the farm community. And I loved it. And I met an account manager there. And it was this perfect thing where this account manager didn't make the work. I don't make the creative or the art or the video or the concepting, but I love it. And they sold it. So you have to deeply understand creatives and how people are motivated. And then you are an advocate to them and to your client. So it's a sales environment. I used presentation skills. I loved everything about it. So from then on, I was hooked. I also love like film and media and how TV shows are produced. Just always been a passion of mine. So I went to school at 18 at Pacific Lutheran University here in Parkland, Washington, and got a marketing degree. I just studied and found myself in this internship at VSG Marketing through mutual connection, and loved it and continued to just accelerate there. So agencies, for those who aren't familiar, we don't work on one brand, we work on hundreds. So it's a fast pace, you got to switch topics quickly. You get exposed to a lot of things and you become kind of a jack of all trades. So at a very young age, I had my hands in every facet of marketing, of web, of branding, and got to experience a lot. And I was managing clients. So I came in as an intern. I was then an account manager, client side, customer service at the highest level with excellence. That's something that Doug's very passionate about. I learned a lot from him in that way. And then I was the marketing director for about a year and a half, and then was vice president for 2 years. And then Doug ended up selling the company, and now I'm the president. So that all happened in about a 10-year span. I'm a little tired. The grays are coming in slowly, but it's wild and not a traditional story, I don't think. But I've just been kind of laser focused on that since I was 16. Wild.
That's insane. And I think
Yeah.
about
It is. It's insane. Yeah.
and I am so in admiration of you. So you talk about your early years and having these dinner time conversations with your entrepreneur parents, right? Well,
Yeah.
I have these conversations at my dinner table with my kids. So tell me, what's a memorable conversation that you had with them, and how it's taken you forward? Like,
Yeah, great question. It's the people side of things that has always stuck with me. I'm pretty empathetic as a person, and quite fair, or I can maybe see both sides. And so something that stuck with me is not actually anything my parents said, but was I actually disagreed with them. So they would, as an employer, obviously, sometimes you're having a hard day, keeping in mind it's a family space, it's a safe space. And it's, I just don't understand why my employees or people that work for me, my staff, don't think like an owner, or they don't get that it's my money when a mistake is made, or it's a very me mindset that some leaders can get into, and they're venting and they're frustrated, right, and seeking support. So that's totally fine in that context. They would never say that at work. And I just remember sitting there thinking, but your employees are getting a paycheck. It's not their money. Like, what about their perspective? How could you make that environment more inclusive? How could you show them when they make choices that has financial impact? How could you motivate them differently? So even as a child, I was like, if we educated a little bit more and worked more as a team, I think lots of folks can have ownership mindset. I did at 18 as an intern, right? And so that people, I think we don't give them enough opportunity. There are always times when you're going to be frustrated, but let's empower people to think like owners by allowing them to have a piece of the business, have equity, there's so many ways that you can do that. But it allowed me to be a leader at a very young age because of my empathy for like the employee perspective. That sticks with me most. I'm sure there's lots and lots like P&L. You gotta watch what's going out as well as what's coming in. Like that, I have a lot of good foundational CPA things as well, but the employee side was powerful.
Well, what's also powerful, you just mentioned P&L and watching all of that. We got to pay the bills. We got to pay the bills. So we're going to take a short break to hear from today's spotlight sponsor. And when we come back with our guest, Alex Devine, for our Hot or Not section of the show, we're going to ask Alex which one is more important, a marketing plan or a business plan. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. Do you know where great people go to meet great companies? I do. It's West Sound Workforce. For 25 years, West Sound Workforce has been putting people to work, matching their skills and interests with positions employers are looking to fill right here in our own communities. Specialized in temp to hire, and direct hire placement services, West Sound Workforce is there to help job seekers looking to find their next position or their next career step with no cost. Companies partner with West Sound Workforce to augment their recruitment strategies, whether to cover the shift of a vacationing employee of their own, having extra hands to make a special project happen, or searching for that new team member. Visit our website at westsoundworkforce.com or check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, where we interview the best and brightest CEOs and business thought leaders in the greater Puget Sound area and beyond. I'm Monica Blackwood, and today our guest is Alex Devine for our next segment, Hot or Not.
Well, you might remember from way back when we had Doug on, Alex, is Hot or Not is where we're going to pepper you with questions about business, about life. You're going to tell us whether the concept or the topic is hot or not and why or why not. So I mentioned, business plans and marketing plans. So I'll phrase it this way: hot or not, marketing plan greater than business plan.
An excellent question. I'd have to go business plan being far more important than your marketing plan, although you need both to be successful. You can have, the best marketing in the entire world. If your product is not good, if your service delivery is not good, if you are spending more than you're bringing in, or if you're not profitable, none of it matters. So marketing is exactly that. It is how you go to market with a product or a service and take care of your folks. But before we get there, we have to have a business model that's going to work and be sustainable. Even if we get lucky with a viral campaign or our marketing is thriving for a year, without that base business plan, we only have a year. We don't have 25. And that's kind of the goal for entrepreneurs, I think.
Wow. Okay. So building on that, with marketing being important, but business plan being base, right? Podcasting for business growth. Where do you put that in? Is it hot or not?
It's hot. I'm trying. That's why I'm here, guys. I try and get on as many podcasts as I can. It's a part of your marketing strategy. So it's a big commitment, and I commend you to make content, have valuable guests, splice and dice, promote on social. It's very hard to have your own podcast and do it consistently. And Shrimp Tank does it very, very well. And I applaud that. It's the topic of thought leadership, really, is what we're talking about. When you are visible and you're providing value to your audience in video form and conversational format, it's a part of brand awareness. So I might not get, leads from this or something I can look at in my pipeline and say, I did Shrimp Tank and I got X amount of dollars, right? Like some marketing activities, but your network, the people you're exposed to, the relationships that you build, all of that absolutely makes a difference. And how cool is it that the world has shrunk and we can provide value to so many people each week? Like, we don't get to talk about things like this in day-to-day business with folks who understand. So short answer, very hot.
All right. So podcast, very, very hot. What about, what do you do with the podcast afterwards? What, we on the Shrimp Tank talk about, developing clips and using the clips. What are like two best practices that you say once you're on a podcast, immediately do this afterwards?
Yes, remind people that you were on it and support the folks creating the content. So what you'll see us do is, hey, President Alex Devine was on the Shrimp Tank. She had a great talk with tag Dan, tag Monica, right? We're doing this for thought leadership. So it's very important to pay respects. If you had an audio engineer, tag them. If you're on set, if you visited somebody's location, be very specific with your tagging on social, send thank yous. And then in addition to that, use the algorithm. So the clips of the either most valuable content or something funny, whatever your brand requires, make sure you're putting those in Reels on Instagram. If you have a TikTok, use that. If you're on YouTube, make sure the meta description's filled out. Like, just kind of use the tools that are available to you in the most advantageous way. But first, thank your hosts. Show them love.
See, I love that. That's awesome. Thanks, Alex. I'm gonna veer away from hot or not because you just said something with, I think it was algorithms you used. I want to talk about data though, because in the first segment you talked about data. In the bio I read, you talked about data. I've been to your website and there's a lot of data. I know we live in a very data-driven society, right? I mean, that's so important. Talk a little bit about how your business, how VSG uses the data, because data is out there, it's all over the place, but it's really about how you understand it and then how you leverage and use it. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, data is critical. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's also a very big topic, but just for reference, I'll kind of throw out there, data science is one of the fastest growing bachelor's degrees that you can get. Kids are going to school to be data scientists, and companies are creating data science departments. And the reason that is, Dan, is exactly what you mentioned. It's not just about having the data and the data being clean and accessible. That's a kind of its own governance conversation that we should have. But you have to be able to interpret that data and figure out what you're going to do with it. And that's what data scientists do. And I do think that marketers for years and years have been data scientists without realizing it. So a large part of our job as an agency and my job when I coach clients is, let's operate from a place where we know we can get return. There's still creativity involved. We're still messaging. It's still fun. It's still visually beautiful in a lot of ways. However, the audience targeting, what their buying motivations are, where they click on a website, how many conversions this sentence got versus that. The more data that we have and make readily accessible to ourselves, the more specific we can make in our changes, we can work efficiently, and like the better results that we have. So data science as a baseline is becoming more prevalent in business, and we should all pay attention to our own data, how we're collecting it. And then the kind of second portion of that I evangelize, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it, is the importance of linking your marketing data, which is really top of funnel, bringing people to the door, and your sales data, which is opening the door, chatting, closing the door behind them. Those two things are symbiotic, and a lot of times those teams are siloed and they're not talking to one another. So the marketing team doesn't know what's working on the sales side and what's actually contributing to a sale. And the sales team can't see which ads are performing, what messaging is sticking out. So you can't create a consistent, streamlined experience for your customer. And what we're seeing data-wise is that is a demand. It is no longer optional. Your buyers want a seamless transition all the way through to retention. So marketing automation and CRMs that talk together are mandatory at this point. If you do not have one, let's chat. It's time to start.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna switch it up here to another topic that I know, because we know each other pretty well, I know is very important to you. That's mentoring, right? And you've been lucky to have a lot of mentoring along the way so far, and you want to be out there mentoring others, and you're not just talking about mentoring your peers or those following behind you, but you're actually talking about mentoring forward a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy of mentoring, what you want to do.
Yeah, thank you, Monica. That's a great question. You live and die by your mentors. I've been so fortunate. Even my parents, I think of them as mentors. They produce things or give you things, challenge you in a way that you can't do by yourself and allow you to grow, and also just encourage you when you need a little bit of encouragement. So that's kind of my platform for mentorship. It's the why not you aspect. It's if you don't believe you can do something, why? Let's dig in there, the self-limiting beliefs. And so because that is my platform, I've been really fortunate to work with folks of all ages, specifically women in the executive field of many different types of companies who are far older than me. They kind of have advanced, they've kicked ass, they've gotten to C-suite, and it seems like there's just this complete lack of confidence or this desire to be liked. And so they don't lead the way that they have throughout their entire career. And so my only job as a mentor is to give them permission to get back to that baseline of strength. So that generational perspective that I bring has a lot to do with like my upbringing. I don't act or talk like a 31-year-old, and I have, quite a bit of business experience at this point, but I do have that millennial, like the chutzpah to say, why not? Of course you can. Look what I've done. You can do it too. You have all the same skills you have. So it's just permission, I think, to be powerful. So that has allowed me to do things like mentor graduate students. I'm a part of the MIWI program, the Milgard School of Business, Women and Leadership. It's a very long acronym. It's an amazing program. I'll get you the actual name of it later. So that's been cool to mentor both those ladies and gentlemen younger than I have been, and then my clients as well as they navigate through. So I think I'm grateful very much for the foundation of confidence that my training and my education and my parents have given me. And then I just support people in general. And sometimes that's all you need from a mentor. I hope that answers your question, Monica. Rambling.
No, that's an amazing response. And it kind of brings me to a thought, something you just talked about, and it really deals with identity and that sometimes we had this conversation last week with our guest Betsy Jordan, who coaches consultants and coaches and professionals like that, and it was all about considering yourself a fraud. And I just lost the term for that. I don't know how I lost it.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. What happened?
Yeah.
See, I think it's an age thing, Monica. See what happens when you get to my age, Alex, is that you will just forget stuff, and it's an easy out. You can just say it's But imposter syndrome, what is it about people who I think have to be confident to get to where they are? You people don't get to the successes they have without having a level of confidence and all of that and chutzpah, right? Where does imposter syndrome seep in? Is it something that was always there? Does it happen as you get older? Do we become more fearful as we get older? What is the root of that? And what are some of the suggestions that you have for the people that you coach and mentor to get over it?
Oh, that is a gorgeous question, Dan. Love that. I do believe in imposter syndrome. I have it. A little bit of it is healthy because it keeps us humble. It keeps our feet on the ground. So being confident is not without humility. I would first say that as a baseline. And we all experience imposter syndrome. The most confident people in the world have it probably the worst. And that's why we're driven to improve ourselves and perform to some degree. So trends that I have noticed in imposter syndrome is either just lack of experience. So a lot of folks are like, well, I haven't done that before, so I can't. Just self-limiting, right? And so they refuse to try because they're afraid of failure. And that could, I'm not a mental health professional, I know several of them. That could be so many things. It could be foundational, it could be experiences you've had in your life. It is often lack of access. When you talk about equity, just the same opportunities that I have had as a middle-class white woman are very different than some of my peers. They haven't had the chance or the opportunity to have that confidence yet. And so of course you have imposter syndrome. I also see it as folks age in their career, and specifically when they interface with younger coworkers, especially younger coworkers like myself, who are naturally very confident. We have to gauge our own success and our own confidence purely on the content of our character. It can't be based on what someone else has or what they do. It's that old parable, right? You have all the tools to succeed within yourself, and if not, you can develop them. And we cannot base our success on anybody else. Instead, embrace what they have and how can we be better together. So I do see it quite often. And what I would coach is, let's come back to facts. What are the skills necessary to achieve the goal that you're looking for? And let's put an action plan together and let's do it. And if there's self-doubt at all, acknowledge it, come back to facts, and let's move forward. And when you accomplish things, let's note them, let's celebrate them, and use them as evidence that you absolutely can do it. And let's go tackle something bigger. So it's iterative. I think it's a lifelong growth process.
So tacking onto this a little bit, and the idea of, imposter syndrome and self-confidence, and specifically generational viewpoints. My generation, if I come across with a lot of confidence, oftentimes I'm not so friendly, right? We don't get
Right.
the same kind of response as if Dan were to come in with a lot of confidence in a business setting. Generations behind me, the millennials, Gen Z, and even Alpha, what's their take on being self-confident and from a very high level, general, not quite stereotypical, but almost. What do you see with that, and how does that interplay?
Yeah, so like Gen Z, for reference, has been in the workforce for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Like my younger brother was born in 1996. He has been in his career for 7 years. And I would say that generation specifically is incredibly confident at a baseline and just thinks about business so differently than any of us do kind of prior to them. Realizing that life and myself as a whole person is what I actually care about, and I want to live meaningfully, and my job is a little sliver of that. Versus, I would say, folks in your generation, my generation, it was your career is everything, and you have to, like, if you don't achieve things, then who even are you? And so it's a completely different set of values, and we're seeing that start to shift post pandemic, right? Like when we have all these atrocities kind of shoved in our face all the time, we're reevaluating, which I love. But our younger generations, that's all they know. So they are at a baseline much more confident, much more direct, and much less scared of strong, confident people. I would say it's a mutual understanding. So when I coach multi-generational teams to work together, you have to have a foundation of trust and assume best intent. So first you realize that you're different, you're coming from different places, different perspectives, and gotta trust that the other one isn't judging you and doesn't think poorly of you, and you're not trying to navigate around them. Again, we come back to facts, communicate effectively, and really good things happen. But just like general trend, far more confident, almost like, oh, okay. Whew, even for me. And it's a learning process, and we'll continue to learn.
Well, and we need to continue to thank our sponsors. So we're going to take a short break to do that. We're going to take that short break to hear from our corporate sponsors. And when we come back with our guest, Alex Devine, for our Plead the Fifth section of the show, we're going to ask Alex about her hobbies. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. And Plead the Fifth is brought to you by our corporate sponsors, Ideal Life 360, Cornerstone Financial, First Underwriters Insurance, BC Fitness Studio, and Port Ludlow Resort. Please visit our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle to learn more about these terrific companies. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, where we interview the best and brightest CEOs and business thought leaders in the greater Puget Sound area and beyond. I'm Monica Blackwood, co-host, and our guest today is the amazing Alex Devine for our next segment, Plead the Fifth.
The amazing Alex Devine is going to be put on the hot seat. We're going to start giving you, I don't know, maybe they're tougher questions, but you're going to have to tell us the answer or plead the fifth, but you only get to plead the fifth once. So if we get that out of the way early, then the gloves come off. I think, I don't, you have so much confidence. I don't think you're going to plead.
I never plead the fifth.
We'll find out. Ask about hobbies. So I've taken you, we've removed you from your current position as president of VSG. You're going to have to start a new business, and it's going to be based on a hobby. What is the hobby? What is the business?
Oh, it's like a very, very close race between like a dog park indoor. I just want to hang out with dogs all the time. I have 2 dogs. I love them. I would do something dog enrichment. I can't do
Dog
training. I'm not tough
enrichment.
enough, but
I guess I tell you,
something where
I
dogs are
love
happy.
that.
Because you have like enrichment for zoo animals. I don't know, dog enrichment, or I am newer to, but have really loved Pilates and hot yoga in the last couple of years. A huge part of like my mental wellness, and it's helped my health tremendously. And I have a lot of respect for instructors who really know what you're doing and can make modifications based on injuries. And it's a beautiful, beautiful physical activity and meditation. And so I probably have a studio, I would say, or support other people who are far smarter than me and having
With a
a
dog
studio.
park outside.
Oh, see, now we're talking dog Pilates. We've done it.
Yep. There's your new calling, Alex.
Perfect.
But kind of going along with that, because hobbies are really important. What brings you the most joy aside from family and business?
It's a good question. I do work a lot. And we always talk about this. When you are a business leader or specifically a business owner, it's not work-life balance, it's work-life integration, because a part of your life and a part of your joy is this thing that you created. So I love my job. I do it often. It's a fine line, and you do have to spend time with family and develop hobbies. So what probably brings me the most joy is a combination of doing something that I love and having recreational things I like to do. Like, I love local theater. I am a season ticket holder at every local theater in the area. I am at plays, I'm at shows. I love to experience art. That definitely brings me joy. It's very adjacent to my job. And if I always be closing, right? If I happen to make connections when I'm out there, great.
So we talked in the previous segment about imposter syndrome, and we talked about how we can be our own worst critics. So plead the fifth, Alex. What is something that you struggle with as a business owner?
Oh, it's a good question. I have imposter syndrome. Absolutely. I just haven't lived enough life transparently. Like, I've seen a lot in an agency setting over 10 years, but there's financial challenges, there's tax challenges, there's lots of things as a consultant that I just like don't have the life experience on. And it's hard to tout that you can navigate people through that when you don't have the experience yourself, no matter how educated you are, or you could go to peers. So there are absolutely situations that I walk into as a consultant where I go, I don't know that I'm the best fit for that. And so I think it's just transparency and honesty and disclosing that up front.
I want to do a quick follow-up on that, because you made me think about that based on your age, because you're one of the younger guests that we've had. How much does scar tissue for those of us who are older and have been through different things and different economies and different things, how much does scar tissue play a factor in whether it's imposter syndrome or just challenges?
Oh, it's absolutely huge. It's a huge, huge barrier. Monica, you actually mentioned one before. You're like, hey, when I walk into a boardroom or a business setting and I'm confident, here's what we're going to do and here's how we're going to do it, I'm perceived differently than my male counterparts. And that's been true your entire life. And generationally, like, that is all scar tissue. And so if me, especially a younger consultant, doesn't understand that and comes in and is like, just be confident, Monica, what do you mean? Like, forget the rest, do it. You're missing the scar tissue context there, and you can actually cause damage and not have a good result. So I do see that often. It's very hard for tigers to change their stripes, which is why self-development is so important. We have to continue to learn and be open, and that means we have to be vulnerable, which is really, really hard for us as humans to do. So that mutual understanding or foundation of trust when you work with a consultant or anybody in a business setting is critical, because they have to know you to develop you. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, that is scar tissue sometimes.
Yeah.
And other times, it is it's the power behind where I stand and what I'm doing, and why I think some people listen to me, even my male counterparts, sometimes. So it is, scar tissue is a positive and a deterrent for sure. So anyway, I want to switch gears and get to know a little bit about you. What do you like to binge watch? Do you binge watch?
Oh, do I binge watch? I am a reality television connoisseur, have been since I was very little, and it's part of why I'm in marketing. It's the art of reality TV, the production mind. So I watch any and all of the trashiest shows you can imagine. Some favorites are Annie Below Deck. Sailing Yacht is my favorite. Some of you in the audience will agree with that or not. We can talk about it. Mediterranean would be close second. I binge watch pretty much anything TLC has ever made. Big fan of My 600-Pound Life. 1,000-Pound Sisters, like stories about humans and how producers can tease that out and how they do formatting. Love Island UK, incredible reality TV. You know, they have those like PowerPoint parties. If you guys have not heard of this, invite your friends over. Everyone has to present a PowerPoint on something they're passionate about. Mine would be Love Island UK as a reality TV series. There's juicy. There's a lot going on there on the production side.
I think we need to have a PowerPoint party. All of us.
By the way, I'm gonna break in because I want to hear the rest. But I've never heard of a PowerPoint party. Monica, we're gonna throw a shrimp tank version of a PowerPoint party. Alex is going to be the first presenter. I think we just got to get it done.
It's very fun. It's very, very fun. I would point out that I am, you know, an intellectual of sorts, and I do watch lots of other shows, but reality TV is like bread and butter. I absolutely love it. So anything like popular, anything HBO makes, and I watch it all. It's all media consumption for the job, you know. Got to stay fresh.
Mm-hmm. So now that we've talked about all of your binge watching and you know that reality TV, what might be the best book of any genre that you think you've read?
Oh, now you're going to expose me a little bit. I read.
It could be an audiobook. I'm cool with that.
Oh, I read constantly. I do listen. Well, I listen to about 100 books a year. Sometimes they are developmental and they're about good business concepts. I just finished Niching Up. That's a great one. Chris Dwyer, I think, is the author. And I tell you that so that you know the best book that I have read in years and years and years is the Court of Thorns and Roses series, which is essentially like fantasy smut. It's very good. Sarah J. Maas has 5 books. It's amazing. Court of Mist and Fury is the best book that I've read in a long time. Hopefully someone in the audience knows what I'm talking about.
Okay, so the last one is it's a little bit of a mix of personal and professional, but who in your life has been most influential, whether it be your career or your personal life?
Yeah, great question. A lot of folks have been influential to me. My grandfather, who is still Earthside, he's 84, still kicking. He rides his electric bike 25 miles a day, kills it. So Jim Beauchamp, my grandfather, is probably the most influential to me. He is one of those people who didn't try and tamper my personality down, or again, I came out of the womb very confident, and then life has humbled me along the way. Very fascinating and probably rare. But he never said, be less, don't do that, be quieter, fit into this box. He just fully supported me. And so that foundation of you can do whatever you want, girlfriend, and you should treat people with kindness, work hard, right, and have strong ethics, and you can do truly anything you want in this world. And I took that very seriously and still have a wonderful relationship with him. So he'll watch this if I send him a link. Hi, Grandpa. Love you.
That's great. And so, Alex, we want to thank you so much for being a part of the Shrimp Tank. If people want to get in touch with you, for the listeners of the show, how might they do that?
Yes, you can find me in several different places. VSG Marketing is vsgmarketing.io. You can check out our website, more about what we do, the solutions we provide. Spindustry.com is my parent company. So that's the SharePoint work, custom development, and digital marketing, digital apps. We didn't even talk about that yet. And then myself as a speaker, I have several opportunities coming up. I'm going to be at South by Southwest, moderating a panel in March. I'm going to be at Women in Global Tech. So if you want to follow me as a speaker and see what I'm up to, I have an Instagram that is Alex Devine _talks. You can follow me there.
Okay, I'm gonna change things up a little bit before I say a final goodbye. I really want to know, you just mentioned digital apps. Okay, give us a 10-second, 5-second thing. What do you want?
I'm going to give you 35 to 40 seconds. Just
there you go.
I want to hear about it too. Actually, give us. We're a podcast. We can do whatever. I can do whatever we want. I can do whatever we want. Tell us about digital apps.
digital advertising. Well, and we can build
advertising.
apps
Okay.
as well. But yes, digital ads. I will give you 30 seconds really quickly. As a lead generation strategy, you should be using a combination of organic and paid. If you have been frustrated with paid in the past or have tried it, your budget was likely wrong or your targeting was off. Let's do an audit. Let's figure out what you need. I know lead generation is tough right now. It's a hard market. Like pipelines have slowed down. If you are in need of lead generation, paid ads equals results now. Organic equals results over time. Do a combo of both. That's my spiel.
Would you include like geofencing in there?
Absolutely.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. All right. Now we've covered digital ads as well.
Perfect.
So everyone, make sure you check out all of the replays on shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle. And wherever you get your podcast, whether it be iHeart, Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Dan already said it. We're ubiquitous. Please follow us on our show's social media page on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
So first of all, Alex, thank you for being here. And as a grandfather myself, and a grandfather of 3 girls, I got 1 boy in there too, but 3 girls, do send this to your grandfather. And just tell him to keep downloading it every day. We'll do that. That's
will do.
Yeah, he'll do it for you. I know it.
A view a day. Love it.
But thank you for being on here. This was a lot of fun. We'll definitely have you back, Monica. Again, happy New Year. As always, great show. Thank you for bringing Alex our way. And I know you and I will be seeing each other soon, probably out in the cold and wet weather here, because spring sports season is coming up.
Absolutely.
So everyone, do exactly what Monica says. Like us on our Facebook page and watch us live stream just like we're doing now. We do it every Wednesday at noon Pacific time. Our next show will be on Wednesday, January 24th. Our guest will be Ben Wicks from Highland Private Management. My co-host for that week will be Michelle Baumberger. In the meantime, until we see you again, be safe, be well, and be prosperous. Because until next week, the shrimp is back in the tank. So long.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.